Do you want to bore people with your PowerPoint slides or fumble sharing them on Zoom? Of course not. I'm Diane Windingland with Virtual Speech Coach, and in the next few minutes, you'll learn the top 2 problems with PowerPoint as most people do PowerPoint, the top 3 ways you can improve your PowerPoint slides, and as a bonus, a couple of ways you can improve on how you share them in Zoom. Power up your PowerPoint. You don't want to have another boring PowerPoint presentation, right? So what do you think the #1 problem is when it comes to PowerPoint, the way most people do it? Well, if you said something along the lines of too much information, too much text, you're right. In fact, on this slide, did you even see the word significance? Significance was lost because there was too much information and you couldn't even focus on what was important. So what do you think the #2 problem is? It's related to #1, but I'll let you experience it first. Here's a slide on virtual presenter basic competencies. Yeah, a lot of points. And while I'm talking, you're probably trying to read it, right? Kind of annoying. I'm probably coming across as blah, 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 because the #2 problem is that people don't listen well when they're reading. So what can you do about this? It's a little better if you can have your bullet points come in one at a time. So you have point #1 come in, you talk about it. Point #2 come in, you talk about it. Even better, however, would be a picture. So here's an example for point #3. A basic competency is to mute and unmute. Related to this is improvement #1, use pictures. Here's a comparison of the weekly food consumption of 2 different families, one in the United States and one in Chad, Africa. The really startling thing was the amount of money they spent. Great big difference. Is there another way you could present this? Or maybe you've heard the phrase, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Here's the family in the United States. Wow, so much food. Now let's compare that with the family from Chad. You might not notice that they actually have 1 extra person, but their food is so much different than the other family. Pictures really have an emotional impact. Improvement #2, create impact with your data. So here's a slide, your child's lifetime risk of cancer. And here's some facts. 38.4% of people will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetimes. Your child's lifetime risk of cancer is nearly 2 out of 5. That is a startling statistic. But perhaps you could present it with even more impact, maybe even using a picture. So here's the same slide, presenting the same data in a different way. Your child's lifetime risk of cancer is 2 out of 5. No one has those kinds of dreams for their child, but it's a reality. So consider if you can present data in a more impactful way. Improvement #3, consider using smart art instead of using bullet points all the time. So here's an example of a slide with bullet points. I'll talk about how you can start a presentation with impact using the 3 Ps. The first P is pep, get their attention with a story or a startling statistic. The second P is promise, state a benefit to the audience. The third P is path, preview your points. That's not terrible, but what if you use smart art? This is how it would look. Pep, get their attention. Promise, state a benefit. And path, preview your points. So how you turn bullets into smart art? You just go to the section on the home tab of the PowerPoint where you see the little sort of a icon of a chart. and click on that, and then you can have a lot of different selections for how you might change your bullets. Let's move on to bonus tips for Zoom. Tip number one, if you only have one screen, maybe you have experienced this pain. You share your slides and boom, they take up the whole screen and you can't see anything else. Well, if you only have one screen, what you can do is in the slideshow setup, you can choose browse by an individual window. And where that is on the slideshow tab, you go to Setup Slideshow, and then select the second choice, the second bullet. And when you do that, instead of necessarily taking up your whole screen, you can have a window that you can resize so it doesn't take up the entire real estate of your screen, and you can have other things on your screen as well. Zoom tip number 2, prepare to share. I don't know about you, but I hate it when people fumble with their slides. They don't know where their slides are, so they're looking for their slides. They open it up, and then you see all the slides, the thumbnails on the side, so you can preview their content before they even want you to see it. There is a better way, and I call it prepare to share. So the first step is to get your slides in slideshow mode ahead of time. Get it up on your screen before you start presenting. Then hit the green share button also ahead of time. Then a box will pop up and you can select which of the windows you want to share. If you want to share your PowerPoint application, that's probably what you should select. And then finally, when you are ready to share, then hit the blue share button that was in that pop-up screen. Try these tips and don't have another boring PowerPoint presentation.